For those who do not accept the historicity of the Gospels, first of all, the Gospels are biographies, not histories. They focus on the words and acts of a single, real adult person. They're not about general life in Palestine at the turn of the millennium, although they get all the details of the historical place correct, which is remarkable in itself. Nevertheless, they should not be treated as histories. They're biographies. The point of each gospel is to create a picture of who Jesus is, and each author sees Jesus with a slightly different emphasis. One author may present an event with a great deal of detail, and a different author may choose to present the same event as a bullet point. Just skip to the end. They're not conflicting accounts. They're just accounts abbreviated differently. 4 accounts don't give us conflicting information. 4 accounts allow us to assemble a more complete picture of Jesus than any single biography could. I've seen the objection that the supernatural side of Jesus is not presented by any biographer outside of the Bible. Raising the dead, giving sight to the blind. Didn't anyone outside of Christianity notice that? This occurred inside the Jewish community. We don't know that Romans generally witnessed any of that. We know that the Romans were concerned with keeping the peace and keeping their own control. Of course, one centurion was aware of Jesus, believed he was real, and wanted Jesus to help. But that centurion seems to be unusual. Look at how the local soldiers mocked and tortured Jesus after his so-called trial. Who else would write a biography of Jesus? Scribes or Pharisees? Look at their response to Jesus healing a man born blind in John chapter 9. And after Jesus raised Lazarus, what was the religious leaders' response? They wanted to put Lazarus back down because his being alive again was causing unrest. Unbelievable. So the Jewish leaders hated Jesus. The Romans were indifferent. Who outside of Christianity is going to give time and effort to a biography of that cult leader, regardless of what he's done or is reported to have done? Actually, there are additional biographies that were considered unnecessary or not authoritative, so they were more or less discarded. But we do have 4 in the Gospels. 4. Why isn't 4 enough? Why do you want more than that? Who else from the first century gets 4 biographies? Then we need to consider the biographic style from that time. In painting pictures of Jesus' life, authors may assemble events in a different order. The order is not the point. The point is that the event occurred and that it somehow defined Jesus. Adjusting the order of events to create a smooth, compelling, and logical flow was not only acceptable in first century biographies, but was linguistically normal, according to Michael Licona. Why weren't these biographies written sooner? Jesus turned the world upside down. Didn't his biographies warrant immediate recording? They could have written good biographies quickly, but to write great biographies, they needed time to digest the events, to recognize connections, to step back and see and understand the work of Jesus as a unified act. Upon reflection, to say, that's what he was saying. Or, this is what he was trying to show us. He had that in mind when he told us. Now I see how this all fits together. Every act, every word. This is so amazing. I need to write it down. Yeah, just as Jesus came at the right time, I have to believe that those biographies of Jesus were written in the fullness of time, at the right time.